The skyscrapers of New York City stood tall, their glass windows reflecting the golden hues of the setting sun. Among them was the office building of Hartwell and Company, a bustling advertising agency where dreams were made and broken every day. The office was a maze of cubicles, ringing phones, and the constant hum of keyboards. It was here that Emma Carter and Daniel Mitchell's paths crossed in the most unexpected way. Emma was a rising star in the marketing department. At 28, she had already made a name for herself as the go-to person for high-stakes campaigns. Her desk was always cluttered with sticky notes, coffee cups, and client briefs. She lived for the adrenaline of deadlines and the thrill of seeing her ideas come to life. But behind her confident exterior was a woman who often wondered if she was sacrificing too much of her personal life for her career. Daniel, on the other hand, was the quiet genius of the IT department. At 30, he had a reputation for being the guy who could fix anything, from crashed servers to malfunctioning printers. He was the kind of person who preferred to stay behind the scenes, solving problems without seeking recognition. His calm demeanor was a stark contrast to the chaos of the office, and his love for photography was his escape from the daily grind. Their worlds rarely collided, except for the occasional, "my computer isn't working" moments. But one rainy Monday morning, fate decided to intervene. The office was in chaos. The servers had gone down, and no one could access their files. Emma had a major client presentation in an hour, and her entire campaign was stuck on her computer. Panicked, she rushed to the IT department, her heels clicking against the polished floor. Daniel was already there, surrounded by a group of frantic employees. He was typing furiously on his keyboard, his brow furrowed in concentration. Emma pushed through the crowd and said, "I need your help. My presentation is in an hour, and I can't access my files." Daniel looked up, his blue eyes meeting hers. "I'm working on it," he said calmly, "but if you stand here and distract me, it's going to take longer." Emma crossed her arms. "I'm not leaving until this is fixed." Daniel smirked. "Suit yourself." As he worked, Emma couldn't help but notice how composed he was, even in the midst of the chaos. His calmness was almost infuriating, but also oddly reassuring. After what felt like an eternity, Daniel finally said, "Done. You should be able to access your files now." Emma let out a sigh of relief. "Thank you. You're a lifesaver." Daniel shrugged. "Just doing my job." As she turned to leave, he called out, "Good luck with your presentation." Emma smiled. "Thanks." The server incident sparked something between them. Over the next few weeks, Emma found herself stopping by the IT department more often than necessary. Sometimes it was to ask for help with her computer. Other times it was just to say hello. Daniel, who usually kept to himself, found himself looking forward to her visits. One afternoon, Emma walked into the IT department with 2 cups of coffee. She handed one to Daniel and said, "I figured you could use this." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "What's the occasion?" "No occasion," Emma said. "Just thought I'd say thanks for always saving my butt." Daniel chuckled. "Well, I appreciate it, but you don't have to bribe me with coffee to get my help." Emma grinned. "Good to know." They started talking, and before they knew it, an hour had passed. Emma learned that Daniel had a passion for photography and often spent his weekends exploring the city with his camera. Daniel, in turn, discovered that Emma had a secret dream of writing a novel someday. "Why don't you?" Daniel asked. Emma sighed. "Between work and everything else, I barely have time to sleep, let alone write a book." Daniel nodded. "I get that, but sometimes you have to make time for the things that matter." Emma looked at him, surprised by the depth of his words. "You're full of surprises, aren't you?" Daniel smiled. "I try." The annual office party was the talk of the company. It was a chance for everyone to let loose and forget about the stresses of work. Emma wasn't much of a party person, but she decided to go anyway. She figured it would be a good opportunity to network with some of the higher-ups. The party was in full swing when Emma arrived. The room was filled with laughter, music, and the clinking of glasses. She grabbed a drink and mingled with her colleagues, but her eyes kept wandering to the corner of the room, where Daniel was standing alone, looking out of place. She walked over to him and said, "You're not much of a party person, are you?" Daniel laughed. Is it that obvious? Emma smiled. A little, but you should at least try to have some fun. Daniel shrugged. I'm not really into this kind of thing. I'd rather be out taking photos. Emma nodded. I get that. Reluctantly, Daniel followed her to the dance floor. At first, he was awkward and self-conscious, but as the music played, he started to relax. Emma laughed as he tried to mimic her moves, and soon they were both lost in the moment. For the first time, Emma felt a connection that went beyond work. She realized that Daniel was more than just the IT guy. He was someone who understood her in a way no one else did. Their relationship continued to grow, but they kept it professional at work. They would meet for lunch in the break room, share stories about their weekends, and occasionally sneak in a quick coffee break together. But as much as they enjoyed each other's company, they were both hesitant to take the next step. One evening, as the office emptied out, Emma stayed back to finish a project. Daniel, noticing her still at her desk, brought her a cup of coffee. You work too hard, he said. Emma smiled. Says the guy who's always fixing everyone's problems. Daniel sat down across from her. You know, there's more to life than work. Emma sighed. I know, but it's hard to slow down when you're always chasing the next big thing. Daniel looked at her, his expression serious. Emma, I think I've fallen for you, but I don't want to mess things up. Emma's heart skipped a beat. She had been feeling the same way, but was too afraid to admit it. Daniel, I feel the same way, but what if this complicates things? Daniel reached for her hand. Life is already complicated. Maybe we don't have to figure everything out right now. Maybe we can just take it one step at a time. Emma looked into his eyes and saw the sincerity in his words. She nodded. Okay, let's take it one step at a time. Their love story wasn't perfect. There were challenges and misunderstandings, but they faced them together. Emma learned to balance her career with her personal life, and Daniel found the courage to step out of his comfort zone. They became each other's support system, navigating the ups and downs of life side by side. The office, once just a place of work, became the backdrop of their beautiful journey. And as they walked hand in hand into the future, they knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together.